In today's video, I'm going to be talking about one of Australia's most haunted roads, if not the most haunted road in the whole of the nation. And this road is more haunted and has more unexplained occurrences than the Newell Highway, which I covered in a video a couple of weeks ago with the Pillager Princess. Now this stretch of road that I'm going to be talking about today is called Wakehurst Parkway. Hello and welcome back, or welcome to my channel. If you don't know what's going on here, I am a horror artist that likes to draw what I talk about and hopefully bringing you a unique experience to these true crime scary facts and conspiracy theories. Nothing in these videos and nothing in my art is meant to be insensitive to the victims or the victims' families. I'm just bringing you the information that I have researched, just bringing it to you to let you know what has happened. I am just bringing you information that I have researched, so don't shoot the messenger, as a lot of randos on this channel and in the comment sections like to do. I didn't come up with this information. I got it from stories and research on the internet. So with that being said, let's move on with the video. Wakehurst Parkway is a road located at the North Beaches of Sydney in New South Wales. This busy road is not your typical haunted road, as a lot of haunted roads are usually isolated and quiet. This road has been the stage for a mysterious apparition of a female figure all in white that has been named Kelly, and she has been terrifying motorists for 5 decades along this stretch of road, appearing on or beside the 16-kilometre long road late at night and then vanishing as motorists swerve to miss her, only to find nothing is there. Also, people claim to drive straight through her. The most terrifying encounter of all of these is when she appears in the back seat of your car. Some stories have been circulating around the Northern Beaches area that she may have been a woman killed in a car accident, but there is new theory now that suggests that Kelly could be a nurse, hitchhiker, or blood-soaked girl telling the driver to take her to hospital, but then disappears. The woman sighted is described as looking like a nun or olden day nurse, or even appears to be wearing a wedding dress. But this all depends on everyone's own individual interpretation. Some motorists have reported that around the area where Kelly is sighted, car electronics play up, such as windscreen wipers just randomly come on, lights flickering, cars breaking down, no phone reception, and a feeling that they are in another frequency or eerie time slip for a few seconds. This particular stretch is also notorious for fatal crashes and has been allegedly a dumping ground for bodies of murdered victims, but apparently some of the fatal crashes have been caused by Kelly when she enters their vehicles or appears on the road, as told by surviving passengers in the cars. The crashes are at their worst where the Parkway and Warringah Road meets, and many locals refuse to drive this stretch of road either day or night. So who is Kelly? Apparently her name is Kelly Winter, and this is the most popular story that witnesses tell. She was possibly killed in a car accident near the spot she haunts. If she appears in the back seat of your car, you must tell her she is not wanted and she just disappears, or she will take control of your car. According to filmmaker Bianca Biasi, after interviewing hundreds of witnesses, Kelly and the nun could be the same ghost. She actually isn't a nun, but an olden day nurse from the beginning of the 1900s, as I'd mentioned before in the beginning of this video. She believes that the nurse worked at the old quarantine station near Manly and maybe was a local. The station housed immigrants temporarily that came into the country that was sick from 1832 right through to 1984, but a lot ended up dying and were laid to rest at the station's graveyard. Now let's get into some horrific stories about why this stretch of road is so haunted and terrifying for people to travel on. On July 7th, 1960, an 8-year-old boy named Graham Thorne's body was found in some sort of blue mat or picnic rug after he was kidnapped and held for a large ransom that never happened. His school case and cap was found, as well as his lunch bag and school books 3 days later on the side of the road around Seaforth. His father, Basil, won the Sydney Opera House lottery, which was about £100,000, which is $3 million equivalent in this day and age, and it was announced all over the news. A man named Stephen Bradley, a Hungarian immigrant, started to concoct a plan to kidnap the boy for some of the money. Bradley posed as a private investigator and went to their house to pretend to check on their details, such as a telephone number, then proceeded to follow the boy to school, where he was kidnapped, bound and gagged, and wrapped in the blue picnic rug, and then placed into the boot. When he got to the destination, which was apparently his own house, he opened the boot and found Graham dead. But this was not his intentions. He obviously wanted the boy alive to get the ransom money. He then proceeded to ring the Thorne family to try and get the £25,000 by 5 p.m, or he would feed Graham to the sharks. Rewards were offered for the return of Graham, but on the 16th of August, nearly 6 weeks after being kidnapped, his body was found in a vacant property in Grandview Grove, Seaforth. Bradley escaped with his wife and 3 kids on a P&O liner, but was arrested when they docked at Colombo. He was flown back to Sydney and sentenced to life in prison, where he died of a heart attack at age 42. Karma much? After this, no one's name was ever published again who won the lottery. Suzanne Hanks said her friend saw a woman in old-time clothing standing on the side of the road near Oxford Falls in the 70s. She was young, so she pulled over to offer her a lift. They apparently had a long conversation, but by the time she reached Narrabeen, she had disappeared from her back seat. On the 2nd of April 1995, 21-year-old Frances Tizone's body was found dumped in the French's Forest just off of Wakehurst Parkway. She had been strangled or suffocated, and her belongings were found nearby. John Serator was charged with her murder after a rocky relationship that she had with him, and she decided to break it off before her murder. Tizone even had an AVO out against him. Bianca Biasi, who I spoke about before, who was the Australian producer, director and actress. She was actually an actress and played a policewoman in Home and Away. If you're not familiar with Home and Away, Google it. It's a soap opera here in Australia that is on every night, and it just doesn't seem to go away. She specialises in projects to do with the supernatural, and she went to Wakehurst Parkway with a couple of psychics to see what she could pick up. Apparently the psychics picked up on 2 girls. Apparently the missing girls disappeared in the 2000s, and it looks like that one of them was a hitchhiker. Biasi is still in the processes of finding out if one of the girls was called Kelly, but she could be the apparition that appears in people's cars with her distinct eyes in the rearview mirror. So no one really knows when Kelly first appeared, or if she had been there for the the amount of time, like the decades that people have been reporting, or if she was a relatively new apparition. Bianca created the film The Parkway Hauntings, and while filming with her crew, and while they were investigating the stories, some of the crew became physically sick and vomited on set. Bianca was a skeptic before, but after filming the movie, she is now convinced that the road is haunted, and she never wants to go back to that road ever again. Another story is from a cab driver named Eraldo, said he was stopped at some of the traffic lights along Wakehurst Parkway one Friday night when he had an eerie feeling fall over him and felt like there was someone sitting behind him. He took off from the lights and looked into the rearview mirror to see a young woman, grey silhouette, sitting in the middle of the back seat, and she was staring back at him. Yu said he couldn't believe his eyes. It made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. He ended up slamming the brakes on and swerved off onto the side of the road. He then looked in the back seat and in the mirror again, and she was gone. Now, apparently, he said that prior to the blood-curdling encounter, he took a woman in his cab and dropped her off at the same spot where the apparition appeared a few weeks before, but he then later found out that the passenger had died after that. So he's not sure if the passenger was maybe the ghost of that girl or the apparition of that girl, or if it was residual energy that obviously was attracted to him in that point in time, sort of is looping maybe from her death. So these stories of this nun/nurse, or Kelly, whatever you want to call her, has been consistent over the decades, but other sightings have been of horse and carts as an apparition, and a limp dead body that's on the side of the road that just disappears. A man called PJ and his mate stopped in a small car park just off Wakehurst Parkway for some fresh air about midnight. They reported hearing a girl screaming from the bushes, "Help me! Help me!" But both men got back into the car absolutely terrified and took off. This place seems to have experienced mass traumas, and it's like it's a collection of that energy that is stuck there. So apparently this whole stretch of road is very eerie and has a specific feel to it. So when you're driving on it, you know you're driving on it, apparently. So the illustration that I did for this story today, I sort of had this vision, and this sort of popped into my mind straight up as I was thinking about the stories after I read all the stories and did all the research of this of this nurse-looking woman with black flowing hair, and is in an old school nurse outfit. I jumped on Google obviously and had a look at some of the old school nurse outfits, and then just sort of went from there. And I sort of made her skin like this creepy sort of greeny skin colory sort of color, just to get across that she is supernatural. This is not a normal person. And then I took it to a gruesome level and sort of combined all sort of the stories and the feel and the energy that I got from all the stories, and came up with this woman laying down at the feet of this particular apparition and has been cut in half. And I apologize for a lot of intestines. I've been sort of been enjoying and drawing intestines coming out of things at the moment, so that's why you're seeing a lot of that. I don't really apologize, because I like drawing it at the moment. I go through phases, alright? I actually drew a road this time, just a little tiny bit of road, just to portray the road where this hauntings are happening, and this woman is like spewing out blood from her mouth, and she's sort of her arms are sort of like contorted, and yeah, just to show that she's dead. She's something has happened to her, and she's just portraying all the tragedy that's happened in that area. So what do you think about this particular story? Now, does anyone out there have any experience with driving along this Wakehurst Parkway? Let me know, because like I said in the beginning of this video, I have only got the research on the internet to go off of. Anyone who has proper real world encounters of this road, let me know. Or if you know someone who has driven this stretch of road, let me know what your thoughts are. I want to know more information. There is a lot more stories of people who have travelled this road on the internet. You just have to do a Google search to have a look, but these were the main ones that popped up that I wanted to mention. I am out of here. Hopefully you stick around and watch the rest of what is left of this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!